Right, welcome back. Before we move on with our topic of the second segment, here let me say this also piece of news. And President Abdel Fattah al-Sisi yesterday held a phone call with the Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, during which the President stressed Egypt's full solidarity with Saudi Arabia and its people to confront all attempts that seek to destabilize Saudi Arabia and the Gulf in general. The President also stressed the strong bond between the security and stability of the two countries, and definitely Egypt and Saudi Arabia have very, very special, strong and solid relations, and that was reiterated by the President several times. Now moving on to the four-way summit that took place yesterday, and let me here welcome our guest over the phone, His Excellency Ambassador Hussein Harridy, former Assistant Foreign Minister. Good afternoon to you, sir.
Good afternoon, madam.
And this four-way summit that took place all of a surprise, because it was very quick, very surprising, and gathered four important leaders. So how significant was that meeting and the timing of such a meeting?
I would like to call it the summit of 3+1. 3+1, because this summit has comprised the three leaders of what's called the mechanism of trilateral cooperation, namely Egypt, Jordan, and Iraq. These are the three countries, and the 3+1 is the United Arab Emirates. So this was in this context, it was an exceptional summit that brought in the Emirates in the trilateral equation between the three countries that I've just mentioned. Why did it take place? Why did it take such a form? Lately, the Emirates has been actively involved in regional politics, whether we're speaking about the Gulf or the Middle East or North Africa. And the presence of the Emirates in this summit is welcomed in the sense that Emirates has always worked for the security and stability across the region. The summit dealt with the latest developments internationally and its impact, whether strategically speaking or economically and financially, on the three countries concerned. And of course, the war in Ukraine has had a very negative impact as far as the public finance of the countries, particularly Egypt and Jordan, are concerned. We are dependent on wheat imports from both Ukraine and Russia. The wheat prices worldwide have increased in the order of almost 50 or more than 50%, as well as the price of energy also. The barrel of oil today stands at almost somewhere between 115 and 120, and with the attacks by the Houthis on oil installations in Saudi Arabia, oil prices could become higher.
It already became higher.
I beg your pardon?
It already became so high, Your Excellency.
Okay, madam. So these the prices of wheat and the energy prices in the international markets, of course, would have a very negative impact on public finance and on social conditions in Egypt and Jordan, and not only in Egypt and Jordan. As a matter of fact, the French president 2 days ago warned, after the conclusion of the NATO summit in Brussels last Thursday, the day before yesterday, warned warned that things could get worse as far as food security is concerned in Africa, the Middle East, and the Near East. So the Aqaba summit yesterday was dedicated to this. Add to that, you could look at it as preparing the ground, paving the way for the next Arab summit that is scheduled to convene in Algeria next November.
Yes.
You may be aware, madam, that the regular Arab summits haven't convened for the last 3 years.
Yes.
So
indeed.
during the last 3 years, many things, many water have passed under the bridge, and so the four countries getting together in Aqaba was an opportunity to exchange views on the most urgent questions to be dealt with in the upcoming Arab summit, particularly the question of Syria.
Exactly.
Having said that,
yes,
having
indeed.
said that, let me just finish my my sentence.
Please.
Having said that, we have to take into account that the Syrian president, President Bashar al-Assad, paid an official visit last week to the UAE, and he met with the Crown Prince Sheikh Mohammed bin Zayed, who, as a matter of fact, represented his country at the four-way summit yesterday in Aqaba.
Indeed. Your Excellency, you pinpointed your finger on two very important issues that were really discussed yesterday. The first issue, the impact of the Ukraine-Russia war on the Middle East from different fronts, and how Arabs should unite their stance before such an important international crisis. The second thing, indeed, Syria, which many reports suggested the return of Syria to the Arab League. So how do you view this? Of course, there is a third point which is also very important, which is the foreign interference in the Arab domestic affairs. But let me take the importance of the step of the return of Syria and how it became an important step at this upcoming stage.
Well, of course, as far as this question is concerned, I guess now it should be taken for granted that with the years of the so-called Arab Spring behind us, the time has come, madam, to readmit Syria into the Arab League. And when we speak about Syria, we are not referring to leaders, certain leaders in particular, or certain governments. But Syria is Syria, whether it's governed by Bashar al-Assad or it's governed by the present government. And I guess initially, the decision that was taken by the Arab Summit to expel Syria from, or to suspend the membership of Syria in the Arab League was not the right decision. Let me put it this way: was not. But anyhow, now this is behind us, and the time has come to readmit Syria into the Arab League, because we cannot, we from the standpoint of Arab national interest, from the standpoint of Arab national security interest, the Arab countries cannot afford to keep Syria out of the equation. Once Syria is back again in the Arab League, that would impact positively on the way the Arab world deals with the challenges and the threats facing it. And one of the challenges that could be on our hands very soon is that both Iran and the United States would rejoin the Iranian nuclear accord of 2015, and which would mean the unfreezing of Iranian assets and Iranian financial resources in American and Western banks, and that would really put Iran in a very good position to challenge our interest in the Arab world, whether we are speaking about the Red Sea, we are speaking about the Gulf, speaking about the Levant, Syria, Lebanon, Palestine. So this is the challenge that is coming our way, and I believe that was discussed. I think that this topic was discussed, how to deal with the revival of the Iranian nuclear deal once again, and how that would impact on Arab national interests.
Actually,
I beg your pardon?
Actually, the third issue was the foreign interference at large, and particularly two important countries, Iran and the Iranian influence, of course, Turkey, and many others of the countries who are playing a proxy war. And there were no, by the way, Arab Springs. We have only seen storms and winds ever since. Anyway, the foreign interference, and how was that matter, or how did such a matter top the agenda of the talks yesterday?
Well, as far as the Egyptian position is concerned, Egypt has always opposed foreign intervention in Arab affairs, and we have always underlined the importance of finding Arab solutions to Arab crises and Arab problems, whether we are speaking about Syria, Yemen, Libya, security in the Gulf, security in the Red Sea, the situation in Lebanon and the future of Lebanon, I believe that the time has really come, Madam, for the Arab countries to take the responsibility of finding solutions to the crisis that have swept the Arab world during the last 10 years. We have to own this responsibility, and we have to find solutions to them, notwithstanding, of course, a resolution by the Security Council or positions by great powers. And I personally believe, if we demonstrate enough political will to tackle our own problems and our own crisis, I don't think that any power, be it international or regional, would stand in our way. But that is based on the assumption that Syria would be readmitted to the Arab League in the next Arab Summit, Madam.
Yes, indeed. Ambassador Hussein Harridy, former Assistant Foreign Minister, we thank you so much for being with us over the phone and for your input. Always a pleasure. And yes, that important four-way summit came as part of the keenness of the four countries to discuss a number of regional and international issues of common concerns, and at the same time issues that really reflect on the future and the stability of the whole region. I guess that takes us to the end of this episode of Arab Affairs. Next Saturday would be another important Arab file. Until next Saturday, it's goodbye.